Okay, so the last 3 days in the market has been unusual in terms of the price ranges that are being respected. Yesterday we talked a little bit about if we continue to not see a change in what we'd seen in the prior 2 days in terms of pickup in volatility, that we could look for a larger down move. Yesterday we did take out the Thursday-Friday high. We did come back down inside that range and very quickly moved down towards the bottom before catching a bid again. So we did identify these spots in the market Thursday, Friday for potential fades. People were waiting. As vicious as this down move was here, people were waiting to buy into 234.70, and we popped $1. So hopefully over the next day or two we'll get a break of this area, and that will lead to the next move in the market. So we zoom out a little bit. If you look on the 2 weeks, it really is kind of an extension of just this move from a couple of weeks ago. We moved up from 233 to 235.5, and I bet if you took the VWAP price from the last 3 trading days, it's probably just around 235.5, maybe 235.30 to 235.5, somewhere in here. So really, for the last 2 weeks, price has been focused on this area here. Perhaps money moving into other instruments like oil and gold, that sort of thing. All right, what's in play? Not a heck of a lot. Earnings will start to roll out later this week, and then we'll get busy next week. The first thing is this AXON, which yesterday popped. Today they priced a secondary at 18.5. It's $1 above there now. So let's check out the daily. So they brought in a CEO that sold his prior biotech company, got taken out. People were enthusiastic about him being brought in. Here's where we were yesterday. It was being sold in 1975. This morning they priced the deal down here. It's gapping up. We've seen before when deals get priced with high demand that the stock can continue to trend up for the rest of the day. My caveat on that is there's some pretty good resistance in this area here, 1980 to 1920. So we'll see after 10 o'clock if it's still holding up in this area or higher. Fine to be focused on the long. But we'll look for that failure in the pre-market or right on the open. See if it can come in a little bit deeper, maybe below 19, a little bit closer to the secondary price first. And I did one thing I just want to say. I did open up a chat window for all attendees for the meeting right now. So if you do have a question similar to what we used to do in the old software, you can type it in there. I'll be able to see it. All right. Sure. We'll take a look at VIX since we don't really have a lot to talk about this morning. UAL. So UAL, the blowback got stronger overnight. UAL does huge business in China. And I guess that should have been expected, but because the passenger they dragged off the plane was Asian, there was blowback in China. People said it was a racist, not just because they're complete buffoons, UAL, but it was racism why they got this doctor who was one of the people they wanted to remove. So look, if the Chinese people decide to not fly UAL as much, that's going to be serious. Also, I mean, it does seem like there's going to be some impact on the business from American customers as well. The video was pretty vicious. It was interesting yesterday to see that it didn't really react negatively. In fact, was bought. Anyone who bought it yesterday is not feeling too good right now. If we look at the consolidation coming into yesterday, people were buying at 69.5 at 70 at the bottom part of the range, and then 71-ish had kind of been the top part. It broke out. So anybody who bought yesterday is out of the money now. Overnight, it was down, way down. Probably not much volume there. So I think you want to fade this situation, 70, 50 or higher, or if it's holding below $70, I would think some people maybe start to get nervous now. I mean, this really did take up a lot of the mind share on the social media, and stock did run a lot. I think we were looking at it back down here in the mid 60s. In fact, I think I got long it down here. Maybe caught this move right there, but it's, bounced. A lot of people are in it from up at these prices. If a few people start to get nervous with it being below 70 this morning, you could be looking at a flush all the way back down to 68.75, 68.5, kind of where this move started a couple of weeks ago. That's UAL, which is a very liquid name. Normally does about 4.5 million shares, so it should do higher than that. CRUS came across my filters the last couple of days on this unusual trading activity, both on the upside and then on the downside yesterday. And this morning, it's printing down a couple of dollars. I didn't see any news. I didn't see any secondary pricing or anything. It has traded 5,000 shares. Maybe just one rogue print got it started, and it's just people looked at it and they said it's been up a lot. But we should keep an eye on this. I think probably the play is, assuming there's no news, is buying it down here when the market opens 62.5 or lower, and see if it pops back up. What did I put on the sheet? 63, 63.5. See how it behaves here. This could just be one of those situations where it just goes right back up if there's no news. KNX. I put on KNX because I thought it was a little bit better than Swift yesterday, the company that's merging with. Put in its top right on the open, went to 36, which was kind of insane. Quickly came off a couple of dollars, covered, flipped it back to long, for those of you who are following me in real time. Then I tried to short it up here at 35, got stopped out on this move to 35.20. But 35 did end up being the spot the rest of the day where it was sold, and kind of pulled back in to some morning prices. So fading the initial up move worked, caught a bid, and then it range traded the rest of the day, which is fairly common after the initial craziness to the upside or the downside. So we had 34.85 to kind of 35 was where the supply was most of the day, and then the bids were in the 34.25 to 34, 35-ish area. We'll continue to watch this range today. AKRX. This one was up on a takeover a couple of days ago, and then there was some more chatter. I think really they had been started to talk about prices maybe in the mid to high 30s for the takeover, and it got close to that. So I think that's most likely why people were selling yesterday. Pretty common pattern is if a stock runs up on potential takeover news and it starts to get within 10% of the prices people are talking about in terms of the takeover, it's a good time to take profits. A good example of that, great example of that was Twitter last year when it got up to, it ran from 14 to 24. Kind of 23 to 25 was what I'd been talking about in terms of potential takeover. Best case scenario maybe was high 20s, and very quickly went down from 24 back down into the teens, and now it's back down to 14 where the kind of the move started from last year. So got sold first move on the open. Anytime something's sold first move on the open and consolidates below a hold number and breaks on the second move, you want to trade in the direction of the break. So let's see how much it went down. 32.80 went down to 31.50. So, and then obviously if you were shorting the break of 32.80 and you covered some at 32, you're in pretty good shape on this pop back to 32.5 where it failed. It made a higher lower high. It did a test of the low and then had a very clean reversal as well back up to 32.50 where it failed. So 31.50 support, 32 and 31, 32.5, all levels based on yesterday's pullback. So that's AKRX. WFM, I was not around when they announced Jana had taken a position, takeover target. I think this is something, from an intraday perspective, certainly I would look at fading people talking about a takeover in this one. I don't think anyone's taking it over. So, and again, this has been on our short list ever since it was up at 50. Went all the way up to high 50s. Then gap down was a short, gap down again was a short. And for the last year, has been just consolidating between 28 and 35. So let's zoom in on this, see if we can kind of spot a way to attack it on the short side. Okay, so first move took it to 33.5, second move took it to 34.50. I guess the way I would be looking at this morning is 34.30 to 34.50 is a spot that if it popped into, I'd look for failure there. And then confirmation of failure is below 34, and then play it for a move all the way back down, I guess, to 33 or something like that. If it gets to 34.50 and doesn't fail, actually consolidates and breaks to the upside, you can play it long. I would just be careful once it got into the 35 area. I could definitely see it taking out yesterday's high and then failing a little bit higher and doing the same exact pattern that I just discussed 2 seconds ago. So question on VXX. So I think the first thing we should do is actually look at the VIX itself. Just remember, the VXX is an ETF that has some of the futures contracts, but it's subject to decay, and so trades a little bit differently. So in the middle of this range, meaning the market's been ranging for the last 3 or 4 days, the volatility, or what people think the volatility is going to be for the next 30 days. And again, remember, VIX is a prediction of what people expect from the range of the S&P over the next 30 days. And so people expect the range to be widening out because the VIX was down here at 11, had a move to 13, had a pullback, and then has made a series of higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. It was pretty depressed levels. And, part of that is when we started talking about a couple weeks ago, the market behaving unusual, was due for a pullback. That probably had something to do with the VIX breaking back to the upside. But if we look at it now versus the last couple of months, the last time it got up to this 14.5, 15 area, it came down real hard into the range, the prior range here, which had been 12 to 13. And so what I'd be looking for today, assuming the market doesn't go crazy to the downside, is this starting to come back in. What does that look like that on the VIX, VXX, ETF? Let's take a look. So actually pretty similar. So getting close to the actual futures contract. Had the big move up, had the retracement, then higher low, higher low, higher low, and back up to, I think when it was back over here, we were talking about maybe shorting it at 18 or something like that. It didn't quite get there, just reversed back down to 15.5. So wouldn't be the worst idea to be looking, again, assuming we hold the bottom of the range, which is 234.5 to 234.70 on the SPYs, and get back above 235, looking to see if this VXX comes back in. So those are my thoughts on that. And it's 9:10, so I'm going to call it a meeting.
Hope you enjoyed that video. You can actually watch that video if you're subscribed to our Trader 90 before the market even opens. What stocks are in play? What levels in those stocks are important? And how we might go about attacking that stock. That's Steve Spencer, 20-year veteran trader, laying it out there every morning before the market even opens. A really, really powerful tool to start your session off on the right foot. So right now we're offering a trial that you can take advantage of to access this meeting and other meetings throughout the day. We have a meeting at 11 a.m. Eastern where you can sit down with Mike Bellafiore and listen to him talk about what's going on during the morning session, what stocks were in play, what the best trade opportunities were, as well as maybe some things that we're looking at heading into the afternoon session. So I really encourage you to take advantage of that trial.